Hey everyone, just wanted to talk you through what I'm going to be doing to this next project. Basically I had a banister here. As you can tell, I forgot to film an introduction, so doing it mid-project, but that's alright. So I had a banister here and I wanted to extend that, or basically make the banister a little larger, so we can sit out here and eat and drink and kind of hang out. It gives you a little tabletop up here on the top of this deck. So that's what we're going to be doing, and I'll take you through all the steps. When I started this project, I didn't know that the post that this video is focused around was rotting. I thought I would simply be removing a banister, making a tabletop, and replacing the banister with the tabletop. Well, things didn't go according to plan. The first thing I did was remove the banister. I didn't film myself doing it because I didn't have the idea of creating this video yet. Once I removed the banister, I saw that the post was rotted out. My first thought was, well, I better nail that banister back down. Unfortunately, or fortunately if this all works out in the end, the banister was so warped that I was not able to nail it back down. All the years of being out in the elements had caused it to warp pretty badly, and the only thing that was really keeping it relatively straight was the fact that it was nailed down. In all, this will be a three-part series. The first part, I will be repairing the post. The second, I will be creating the tabletop. And the third, I will be installing it and making everything look nice. I hope you enjoy, and feel free to ask questions or give advice. So this is what I'm going to attempt to fix. If you see, this is all rotted, completely rotted out in here. Don't know how deep it goes. But basically I'm going to cut this down until the rot is gone. And then I have this replacement post that I've cut to look like this. In the end, you'll notice there's an angle there and an angle there. I'm going to cut corresponding angles in this post, and then this will drop right in. And then once it's in there, I'll run a screw through here, which will be through the old post and the new post. And then I'll do another screw probably around here. And then I'll also be filling this in here, here, and here with either wood glue or liquid nails. So we'll see how it works. Hope those sparks looked cool. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to determine how deep the rot goes. It's definitely at least this deep. So I'm trying to knock on this and hear if it sounds hollow or not. Once it starts sounding solid, which sounded maybe down into here, that's where I'll make my first cut. So. Yep. So as you can see from this first piece that we cut off, the rot continued on down pretty bad beyond this piece in these two little spots. And then with this second piece, I'm pretty much at the end of the rot. There is still a little bit. I don't want to go too much lower if I don't have to. So I may drop down about an inch more and cut that off and see where it lies. So I wanted to show you the replacement post. So this is the post I will be putting in to replace the parts that I just cut out. And I wanted to kind of explain how this is going to work. So this cut right here that I've made on this post, you'll notice it's kind of a Z cut, and it has a 22 degree angle cut like this. So what that's going to do is the part down there that receives this, I'm going to make the exact same cut on it, except for instead of leaving this portion, I'm going to leave this portion. So when you put the two together, that angle is going to make this entire replacement post be pulled in to the center of the post that's already there. So it's always going to be trying to pull it in to here. So with that knowledge, I'm going to be dropping this down here, which is going to force it down this way, which is good because most of our rot is kind of in that back half. And since I have to cut down this much further in that back half, I think I will have probably, when I cut down another 6 or so inches, have gotten through the rot. So I'm going to trace on the piece that I need to cut, this angle, or these angles, onto this post and cut them out with my Japanese pole saw. Let's get started. Oh, I swear to God if that wasn't recording. Oh, it is. Here I'm clamping the new post to the old post. Once it's all clamped up, I will be able to trace the outline of the cuts from the new post onto the old post. Once it's traced on, I will be able to remove the new post from the old post and make cuts along those lines. Once it has been cut, everything should fit together nicely. So this is what I have right now. You can kind of see right in through here, I traced that Z pattern. So this is the top of it, and then it comes down back there, and then you see that secondary cut. So it comes down, up to here, and then cuts over. What I've used these vice clamps, I think they're called. Because it's easy to get the tracing on one side, and I can get this front piece, but I didn't have a real good way to do this 15 degree angle up on the other side out here, and it to be parallel. So I use these clamps because when you bring them in, slowly bring them in together, it will be parallel. And you can see once I installed them, the line right there matches up directly with that line. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to get my Japanese pole saw, and I'm going to use the clamps as a guide, and that should give me my angle. That's what I'm hoping. So the phone I'm using to film this overheated, and I didn't know, so it shut itself off. So where we're at now, I've done this cut up top. I'm now making the vertical cut down to here, and then I will make the cut back over. I'm gonna turn the phone off and take it inside and let it cool down. So I'll get that cut done and then come back. Alright, so after I turned the phone off, I finished my cut vertically down.
And then I actually did my second angled cut down there. You can see that. So, I have not checked yet. I'm going to grab the new, or the replacement post and put it in and see what happens. Let's see how close we got. Alright. That's not terrible. So, I do see some gaps when you see when I pull this flush. I have a little gap there. So, to fix that, I'm either going to need to sand down or possibly use a chisel down right here on the top or on the bottom. Most likely I'll do the bottom. I'll chisel that at a bigger angle. And then, let's see if we can take that off. Yeah, pretty good. I'm going to have to clean this line up. So, I'm going to need to either sand or chisel in this way towards this side a little bit because it's sticking out. I would say, oh man, it can't be much. It's sticking out a tiny bit. So I basically just need to let this whole post move towards this side. So yeah, just do probably a little sanding in there. Well, and you can see that needs a little bit of room on the right, so that does not look bad. I'm expecting worse. So worst case scenario, if I can't get this hidden very well, I can just, wrap the whole thing and make it look decorative. So this is what it looks like after I did the sanding and chiseling, and then the sanding again, and then I chiseled some more. And then I had to make another cut, and then I had to sand a little bit more. Now, this is where I'm at. I think this is going to be good enough. It's not perfect as you can see, but with that cut, you'll see it's not attached up here in any way. One of the things I was concerned about was that it would match up to right where it's supposed to be, and you see it matches up exactly where it's supposed to be with these two pieces of wood. So even with this, which is not providing really support, you can see when I hit this, the Z-cut's doing its job and forcing the wood back towards the deck. Alright, so I have this cut done to where I want it. It's a little off on the bottom, which is okay. We're going to sand this once I get it glued and fastened in place. The important part is that it lines up directly where the old post was up top for the two boards to meet up and screw in or be nailed in. That, and it fits pretty snug in there. So next I'm going to grab I went with Loctite Premium Fast Grab. That's what I found online after doing a little bit of research is probably the best. It's a little more expensive, but it holds much better from some tests that people have done online. And then I'll also be using these structural screws. And they have a couple of cool features to them that allow them to basically bore out the hole as it's being screwed in. And then it's got these splines that are actually the reverse direction of the screws splines, and that's going to allow it to really eat in and lock itself in place when it gets completely put in. So let's move on to that right now. So that's the end result for now. We're gonna let this all dry. I wiped it up. This stuff is super sticky. I'm just gonna let it dry and then sand it off. Same thing on this side. Now, when I was screwing in those screws, you will notice that we now have that gap right there. So it pulled the post a little far to the left, which kind of sucks, but as you can see, it pulled it to the left a little bit. So what I'm going to do is when I go to fix this part up, I'm basically just going to cut this piece off of here, which will allow this to close like that. So cut it off right there, boom. Then we can run a nail through here, into here, as well as through here, into here, and then finally the last nail through here, into here. So this is what it looks like after it's done and dried. I'll try and give it a little push and show you that this ain't moving. This thing is, you can't even tell, but I'm trying to wiggle this thing and it ain't moving. So next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to cut this off right here at this level, and then I'm going to wait. I haven't decided if I'm going to cut this little piece off like I said earlier, or I might actually get a little strip of wood and fill in right here. And the reason I might do that is because this is where the tabletop is going to be, on here all the way down, and as you can see right now that's pretty straight all the way down, and if I cut it and move it over at the very end, it'll kind of curve in to the left. So we're gonna see. I might leave it, I might not. Let's see. Okay, so that's it for fixing this post. Next up, we're going to make the tabletop, and then we'll get it up here and secure everything again and show you the finished product. So tune in next time for the tabletop and installation. Thank you.